Nonsia abo adeshima ma yemamu yina akwa abane ache ediba virgin anopa no nsia kase eso ensema ekoso ewo man Ghana man hodo eso ena yempanifo ate wo ho agu mountain so atasitase bi na wo asone so de edika ena editie ena yede ba beso anopa se virgin anopa no nsia kase ensema yi de edimu akotene ebi ene se Abatu ho ensensem afi atwamu yeto ye na no ekopie mu ewo Supreme Court no eno ena Supreme Court e dia babetu edwase ye mampani na nadodankwa Akufo-Addo wono ena nokureturodo wafa akonwa no enti won san kotena na konwa eso sanso ena Supreme Court ho ensensem eno ena ye mampani na nadodankwa Akufo-Addo ene ne mpanifuo womo eni agi papa eyie se yabo womo din se womo ena konwa no esan eye womo edia biom na nanado dankwa Akufo-Addo Ghana ye mampani wono ena dia babetu edwase owura domnevo won kofie na won konkwaje na home ewo na dwuma pa waye dia bo man Ghana eno nso ye de munchemu ebebrew saranso ena ye de obekọ ensem fufuro mu na nije kase mu eno ena funny face eye sensem bia de no ekopie mu ewo Accra Psychiatric Hospital se nka wonkodi na wotwemienu no empanifo atwem ede akobosome baako eno nso ye de munchemu ebebrew ensem bi eka we hu amanane ensem ena anopai ye de ba besomo san virgin anopa no nsia kase hyene nso se ye Success Preparatory School womo ena so ya semi etimide kase ebrew success ana womo si womo bi omo apono no ede ama wo bibia midin ede na na kwia atreba ye twa ye ho ye ba ye de kase no ntiremu ebebrew Ewusia yesan emo wakwaba ediba virgin anopa no nsia kase esom se omanfo bekaye a December bosome ne de tosonson meche afimpinu ne aduonu no emmu eno ena Ghana yeto yaba ne yi ye mampani a obehwe na bibia toto na kwamu neno ena chensunsansio no abato komisa ma mijen mensa ediba bonten na nsemu ina ne se mampani na nadodankwa Akufo-Addo wono ena fa konwa no neno ena Frankatuni edema NDC amanyokuo no mampani dada John Dramani Mahama wenya ne honti ase no de kopie mu ewo Supreme Court neno ena Supreme Court wo madi asemu no nyina na hwese yade asemu no nyina ene se mampani na nadodankwa Akufo-Addo wono ena konwa no esefata no eno nti wonko na wonko tena na konwa no eso na empanifuo womo ekasa no sei ena omudi tu edwa
data here. End of quote. The evidence is thus clear that the petitioner failed to lead credible evidence to prove his case that none of the parties who contested the presidential election with him made the more than 50% threshold as required by clause 3 of Article 63 of 1992 Constitution, and so there should be a rerun. All the petitioner sought to do by way of evidence was to tender Exhibit A to demonstrate that the chairperson of first respondent committed errors in making the declaration, but as already stated, that error could not take away the valid votes of the people. Having held that the declaration by the chairperson of first respondent on 9th of December 2020 did not violate Article 63, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution, we will end the resolution of issue 4 with two admonitions. The first is that of our esteemed brother Mavumani JSC in the case of Akufo-Addo and others versus Mahama and another, Supra, at page 439. Quote, elections are complex systems designed and run by fallible human beings. Thus, it is not surprising that mistakes, errors, or some other imperfection occur during an election. Because absolute electoral imperfection is unlikely and because finality and stability are important values. Not every error, imperfection or combination of problems found in an election contest voice the election or changes its outcome. End of quote. The second is to express a disagreement with this issue, in these positions, that the petitioner literally hangs on how his reliefs on. The petitioner attacked the oral declaration made by the chairperson of the first respondent in relief A, B, and C, and consequently sought an annulment of CI 135 in relief D. He also invited the court to injunct the second respondent from holding himself out as the president-elect on the account of the errors described in the declaration in his relief E, for the court to order a rerun between the petitioner and second respondent on account of the alleged effect of these errors in relief F. But as shown from the evaluations and analysis above, it was part of the petitioner's case in paragraph 6 of the petition that the first alleged error arose because of a misdescription of the number of total votes cast as total valid votes cast. The petitioner also asserted his knowledge of the total valid votes cast in paragraph 12 of his petition, and yet the petitioner is inviting the court to ignore the substantive truth of the result of the election and give him reliefs on the basis of the errors pointed out in his own petition. He is also inviting the court to use the mistakes he has described to tamper with the true and known result of the presidential election and the will of the people. By his relief A, it is only when the court upholds the error in the description of total votes cast instead of total valid votes that the declaration will be in breach of Article 33 Clause 3. Again, by relief F, B, it is when the court ignores the substantive relief of the election, results of the election, that it declare that no candidate won more than 50% of the votes. The petitioner is making his claim, knowing that if the court agrees, the court will essentially change the true outcome of the election. In the combined effects of relief C and F, the petitioner is asking this court to find the oral declaration made on 9 December 2020 to be unconstitutional, null and void, and yet for this court to use void declaration to change the result of the election by ordering a rerun between the two leading candidates. These are submissions that must not appeal to any court of justice, equity, and good conscience. Issue 5, the alleged vote pardon. The last issue set down for this trial is whether or not the alleged vote pardon and other errors complained of by the petitioner affected the outcome of the presidential election results of 2020. The petitioner has alleged in his petition that the first respondent favored the second respondent with padded votes totaling 5,662 in 32 constituencies. In proof of this allegation, the petitioner tendered to PW1, Mr. Edun Ketia Exhibit F, which is a spreadsheet covering sample details from 26 constituencies, showing the alleged vote pardon by certain officials of the first respondent in favor of the second respondent. It is pertinent to note that even though the pleadings of the petitioner alleges that the vote pardon took place in 32 constituencies, totaling 5,662 votes, PW1 in his witness statement testified that the vote pardon rather took place in 4,693 votes. We know that even though PW1 alleged in his witness statement that the vote pardon was done by some officials of the first respondent, his evidence did not name any alleged official. That leg of the allegation was not proof either. The allegation of vote pardon in favor of second respondent was denied by both respondents. Having been expected the petitioner to adduce credible evidence to prove him However, the only evidence adduced on this issue was the tendering of Exhibit F, the spreadsheet containing samples from 26 constituencies showing the alleged vote pattern. To be specific, the allegation, as stated at paragraph 36 of Mr. Segun Kedia's witness statement, was that when the votes of second respondent obtained in all polling stations, as shown on their respective pink sheets in the 26 constituencies are aggregated, the resultant figure differs from the figure that was declared by first respondent for second respondent as captured on the Sunday sheet, substantially in accordance with the law. As to elections, the election is vitiated irrespective of whether the result was affected or not. 2. If the election was so conducted that it was substantially in accordance with the law, as to elections, it is not vitiated by a breach of the rules or a mistake at the polls, provided that it did not affect the result of the election. 3. But even though the election was conducted substantially in accordance with the law, as to elections, nevertheless, if there was a breach of the rules or a mistake at the polls, and it did affect the results, then the election is vitiated. When Lord Dennis' propositions are read as a whole, the combined effect of the propositions is that an election will be voided upon the occurrence of infractions that actually affect the votes of the citizens cast at the polling stations, and not the incidents of administrative errors and or mistakes committed by officers charged with the conduct of such elections. We find
Ebusiana Supreme Court hwa na yegina na eno na bramampani na nadodan kwakufado ene ne mpanifo wo mote yese eyade yabo wo mudin si akonya no wo mo ene se fata no ene nge sunko ene yedewo ena hye wo mo akomamu ema na ni nyina da ne se de ode na de no wo di benkum ene de je yenko ne yenko hwe wo mo ene je no ebi.
This judgment by emphasizing that the petitioner did not demonstrate in any way how the alleged errors and unilateral corrections made by the first respondent affected the validity of the declaration made by the chairperson of the first respondent on the 9th December 2020, as already stated in this judgment. The petitioner has not produced any evidence to rebut the presumption created by the publication of CI 135, for which his action must fail. We have therefore no reason to order a rerun as prayed by the petitioner as in relief F. We accordingly dismiss the petition as having no merit. Mr. President.
ebusia na ye mampani na nadan kwa Akufo-Addo ene ne mpanifuo na wohunu wo mo no wo mo ani age papa eyie na ne hinada wo mo nsam nyina ne say still the battle is the Lord's. Ebusia na ye tua kase no eso na no na wonimonyamfo Daniel Yaho Nominavo wono na ye Auditor General ebdema oman Ghana na no ne yababeto edwa se wonkofie no wonkogye na home na ne hinada ene se wo ba oman Ghana mu ye mra eche se wo ye adwuma na se wunya mfie makomako aduosia wo se wo kofie na echiri ma no so wo mo so nya adwuma ni bi eye na ye pani Domlevo wono de wo kono krata wo de koma mpanifo no echere se eyade wonya ho enya 60 years na no na mpanifo eye nhwehwemu no wo mo ehunu ni se eyade a afi ye twam afi pinum ni aduonu no emu no June bosome ne da dikan no na nke wo se sa time no na okona homgye emu nanso esan krata na ode ba ye ni ntino na woguso eye adwuma na omo enya hunu no kure ewo mu de na wo se wokofie na wokogye na home se de ebe obi foforo ebeba ebesi na namu no watimi atoa adwuma no eso na eno enene wo mo aboye pani ya ne din Eddie Johnson akomua esiedu se wo mra na omeye acting Auditor General Enfama Oman Ghana.
Owura Daniel Yawo Domlevo eye Auditor General edema Ghana nyina da na ebabe so je se June bosum de dikan wa fimpinu ni aduonu mu no eyade se okwa ahomgye mu kakra kokote na fie adwudwo no ho kakra ene nam so amasa bre ye kase osan so esa na chibiem se ni dwubedi ade hye ne sase Auditor General no osan so ababe toso ebiem enam so amagana mampanyi ne secretary ne din enana Asante bedi etu akasa de krata aba montra ne sa na hyase achiremu ese eyade se opanyi ye wo no ewo June busumi de dikan ewo 1960 enu entina ese fatase June eya no edikan wa fimpinu ni aduonu mu no na kese se okona homgye mu kakra ena so ma wono mo krata wode babontin echire se ese opanyi eye Owura Yawo Domlevo ekokoti na fie eko ahomgye mu kakra se bebi ani fie no aduru no eyade se eko animu kakra ena so amagana mampanyi na Akufo-Addo adapanyi asen ewo na hofama eni empo opepa oyi ne ho edi ebie na komamum eni no eyo adwuma
Ebusia ye to akase no eso de ne ye de wo ekomra hyebedwa fie na no ene nche ye bia ne babeto edwa se empanifo ahodo a Ghana ye mampani apa wo mo so meya soafo emfama oman Ghana no ebimu ekeka se yade ye yi ebimu efrimu na no ena dwamtenani edema appointment committee onimonyamfo Joseph Osewusuba abonte se sasamono nukure bia eni ho na mpaniampa wo mo agina so ewo se wo mo to wo mo so aba na mpa abato ne ba na wieye no na sankofo emiensa no meche ye ma me hawa kumsin wono ene ye pawo ne se wo behwe yensuo munam ene ho ensemsam so sanson ena onimonyamfo opon enkroma ene onimonyamfo afriye akoto neno ene ya babeto dwa se appointment committee anase mehyebedwafo no wo mo age wo mo atomu se dwuma no wo betimi aye enti wo mo mra na wo meye
Empanifo Ghana mampanyi na Nana Akufo-Addo ebo wondin se na memu etosu mienu no wo betimi ahwaboa ama budunyuma hodre se na fata no etimi aba oman Ghana mu no eyade se kokopie mu ewo mraship fie ema committee a ya pa o mu se wono mo entena se enhwe ntoto mpanifo yi ano no wono mo efre o mu makomako etoto wono nyina da ano na wabra na wono mo etoto mpanifo yi ano ne kokopie mu se me visa wakomsin ana afensu no enumunya for Dr. Wusu Efiye Akuto ana ne krakra no onmunyamfo kwadwo oponkroma eyade sempenifo bi editu dwase nyade a wono ebepene so da ama asofo dibre no yesanso ede ama wono mu ebie mesanse wono kopie mu ewo mpenifo enim ewo mraship defie no eyade se wono manu ye bia wode ema mpenifo ewo honom no wani anye ho na sabe yekasei eyade se ababutu dwase mraship defie akwa asesina akwakoto aba eyi mpenifo a se no ma mi mevisa wakomsin ana afensu no Dr. Wusu Efiye Akuto ana ne krakra no onumunyamfo kwadwo ponkroma eyade se abato mpanifo etena se ekokoto ye wo mraship ye fie no abeto dwase yaji wonu nyinada atum.
At the end of the vote in respect of the three nominees that were recommended by the committee on the basis of majority decision in the persons of Honorable Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, Honorable Mavis Hawa-Koomson, and Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. The votes cast, the votes issued were 265 per candidate, which meant that all the qualified voters voted. Now, in respect of Honorable Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, the yes votes total 143. The noes 121. One vote was no indication of choice or the opinion of the person, and so that is considered a spoiled ballot. As a result, the percentage obtained by the honorable member is 53.96 approximately, 53.96. By the standing orders, Standing Order 1728, where it says a candidate who fails to secure 50% of the votes cast is rejected. In this case, he has secured more than 50% votes, and therefore he has been approved. In respect of Honorable Mavis Hawa-Koomson, the same number of qualified voters, 265. The ayes, 161. The noes, 104. The percentage of votes obtained, 60.75%. In the circumstances, the Honorable Mavis Hawa-Koomson is accordingly approved. The last but not the least, Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. The same number of qualified voters, the same number of ballots issued, 265, and out of that, the ayes 155, the noes 110. Percentage approximately approximately 58.65%. In the circumstances, the Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah has also been
Ebusuan na ye de wo COVID-19 eduro ya nyame adom ababedu oman Ghana emum na babedu ye pe na Ghana fonum ebi estate se wo mokasa de fa ho se eduro we die wo bi anhwa na we nya furu an wo ba sanso obitimi kasa anhwe kora na obema no etimi akwakowu ne no enam so ema enkofo no bi mpanifo no bi etu ye fu bebre se ye nkonkwo we eduro no ne no na ababeto edwase dodo na wo akwakowo be no kase wo ho edododo wo obitimi kasa wode no bisi ni ti ye ne ya ne no ene Ghana Health Service omodi ababo nti wompeni Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje ni nsemu yinada ene se wokokwo panye no ebi na hu sa ho dodo wa na oba bi ensisi so de ne bomodi na kopie mu ewa yaresa bia eben wo se de be ya womo ebetimi ahwe na ho atọ na emom no enfant na fie na daachi bi enkonya nsunsuanso bone na wunyina so nkase eye COVID-19 eduro no ana ama wanya nsunsuanso wanya no
COVID-19 edure radio dom ebi ababepiemu ewo manganu mu ayehwe nimu ese Ghana ni di hye man ho kwame etimi edepane bi awono se de be no nyina yekon edietia coronavirus de ne etimi akom na yedi enkunim no abetu dwase Ghana fo bi ma wono madika mo ho kwan ame edepane ni bi awono mo ekeka ese eyade a wo mo ho kwame edepane no ewo wono no ejai ebinum tipaye na afensu no honam yawa afofro dodo na so eka ho ebi enam so ama Director General Edema Ghana Health Service Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaje wakasa achimu ese Ghana ndi hye ya we ma ho kwame de panye no awowa enno beba se ebia wenya tipaya na se honam ya obinum enna wani enhwe bebia na mum da wani ne fa kopi mu ewo ayase bibia enno ebe wo sanse wono ewo anesifo ne doctor for honoma se wokọ na se wokasa ucheche ne hawuma wono betimi abo ama honam yawo eni tipaya abeja wo so a nam se wokọje COVID-19 panie ene nam so ema wu enyaye no yade wo mbetimi ahwe aboa ama ni nyina so etimi akọ ede ama wo
your mouth trying to be 15 minutes and sana wako check your blood pressure make sure to be stable with you and sana wako woko so I sure say be able to be say minor say major say who na keka wuti na ya who na shi be able to be yeah something the nearest is chemical shop say him pan with the concord we never be awa omo collect information na ya yes say gather you who senior and go for a follow up system ya change so na obetimi abo amane utimi ko the nearest facility bia na e form of almost failure mama yensa FDA for me a leading that component no je o form of failure bia mo bia yenka say o say the original born alcohol rate the nearest facility bia no ko ma for half of vaccination inside me ya tie me ya minina bibi kitu bia bia na be correct me gada ni ana then we can always get back to you if you say we miss out me bombe di onra me say mi sa ho kakra no obviously also yo ya kakra and normal bia you can carry be your back ya me say vaccination it's a little immune response the body response if the body respond now we see the kakra and the man who say one song that demand AAP into important say yes AEFI Mississippi oh wow they check they pull up the na MBA yeah also MBA I can say now but TBA so for media about mania women are something about can follow up nature for the person na
Ebusuan yeda so etwere kasebo no emu ne no ene yede wo ekwa akopie mu ewo ni monyamfo samije mfi wono ena ehwenkita hodie ensam so ewo NDC amanyokuo no emu na ono na ode ababetu edwa na ne nsam hinada ene se mampeni ananse mampeni dada John Dramani Mahama ene NDC amanyokuo no intwa wo mo edi ye ewo afimpinum ni aduonu abato ye to ye no ni hina ejina mpanimfo bia wo mo ewo amanyokuo no emu wo bobo ebi mu edinti se woni monyamfo Haruna Iddrisu sanso na Ghana Speaker of Parliament meche Alban Bagbin onimonyamfo womo ene mpanimfo num ebi ekeka ho ehhehye suma se womo ene boa ye ema NDC amanyokuo no etimidi ntwo ewo afi impinum eni aduonu abato no emu.
Communications officer de ma NDC amanyukonu eyowura samijemfi wakasa achemu SSO kopiemu ewo NDC amanyukonu emu akamia ese empenifo hodo binumu ewo ma wonumu eni emwa ekuo no wochira kopiemu ewo emrashi befia onumunyafo Alban Bagbin no eye chamehi panyi ede emma mrashi befia ana afenso onumunyafo Haruna Iddrisu no eye minority leader ana no krakra no onumunyafo Mutakabu Baraka ono eye oswafo edema adesha wonmo ewo asawase wochira yade asankrofo miensen wonmo edi NDC fo ehwamoye papa enam so ama oru asamejemfi akasa achiremu ese echitaifa wonmo etai NDC amanyukonu echi enhwe na wonmo ensanso empeja NDC ensi wonmo biem papa ochira enunu betimi aboa ama eniema bia enunu betimi etumpon ewo NDC amanyukonu etimi ejina honmo
Ebusua na ye de wo ekọ enije kase no emu na samanfo bekaya enche ye bia ene ba beto edwase Benson na yawo odrobo atenya enkofo dodo na nim ni se funny face e ba beto odwase wo kokoye ade bia na nka ni se wo ye ne no enam so de ni kopie mu ewo prison ema no ko gina asem dibia na ne kasa mu abran panifo etoto na no ena panifo ehunu se bibi enkoye enti won kopie mu ewo Accra meche psychiatric hospital na watwemienu no womanfa nhwehwe na adwen mu se bibia no edede na kwan mu anna ne no ene panifo womo ewo Accra meche psychiatric hospital wono omodi aba bonte etwemu se yenuano ne ho enya nto no ye enti no ne na watwemienu no womodi na watwemienu aka ho se de beye bosome bako na womo etimi ede aboa no na wesan enya na adwen sebe no echire se de beye ne bibia no ebetimi atoto na kwan emu.
Benson na boatin dodo na edian wonomu edinim no ene funny face na ba to dwa esese kopiemu ewo kasoa ene nimpatema aposifo ensa eso ni pechi ama wonomu ede no kopiemu ewo eye wonomu akache nam so ama funny face ye video bi ede ba to dwa ochiremu ese kwanya eye aposifo ye fa so ede eche no nya de se koye ede manokra enam so ama sesi ekase wonomu ede asem no kopiemu ewo fa ko se cute quarter enunam so ama koto ehye eye funny face se de be na bibia betumi aye fan de ama wonum nyina da no entinum funny face enkopiemu ewo Accra Psychiatric Hospital na sebi wonko hwe na adwemu kakra na empo ne ho atimi atonansa na wasanso aba eye koto honmu ebiem na sabe eye kase na otwimienu ede ema nunum osanso esa na chi ekọ koto me chofa nko circuit court no court asanso ahye ne senkebeya wonsanso enko eye Accra Psychiatric Hospital na wonomo ensanso enhwe ne so ebien serebeyo na bibia so betimi aye kama ede ama abrantie funny face.
Ebusua ne so say Success Preparatory School womo ene boye chidoma mi etimi de kase ebre wo enano pe success ana womo abi omo apono no ede ama wo bibia ye twa ye hutia wa ye ba ye de wo beka obi man so. Ebusua ye san ema wakwa aba edeba virgin anopa no nsia kase so safei na waso wafidie na ye de wo etufa akwa South Africa na no na aba beto edwase ye COVID-19 ni yam aba beto oman bia me kire wiase fa na nyina ye ho akire yen asan ye kwankwa wo ye ne bibia enye yie na no ena mpanifo ewo ho kasa yade no ebaye no edi wo munya papa eyie sanse eho ena timiti atesa ekumi nkofo more than 50,000 ewo South Africa man no emu na seda wo mode manyame no yina ne se de yade no nyame adom ano ebra asen kakra ede ma wo mo enti wo mo bomodin se COVID-19 eduro no wo mo so benya bi na wo mo timi ede awo wo mo na bibia atimi atoto na kwamu ede ama wo
COVID-19 ye ba ye unity ewo wiase amansan nyinada eso aye nyinada ye bompa ise betimi akon okodin na etimi atu yade no ase ade afri ye mayan hodo na emu na empo ye ho etimi atoye na ye dada sitina na ye yodada no etimi ato so no abeto dwa so kopie mu ewo South Africa man no emu am nia etoso mienu a unity ewo kro no eso na yade se na eni enyanyi papa enam so amasesi ekasem eni pa be se 50,000 ana wono afa ya de coronavirus no eso ahwe wono enkwa sisi ekasonso dodro na ana aba beto yese wono enya ya de no ebi na sisi ekase de wono mpa ya wobo yese se de beyo na obetimi akon ya de no etu ase no ya de se mpa ya wobo yese wo hwe nim so obenya ehu edro na mpo otimi akon okode no etu ya de no ase no sisi ekase de wonsa akan edro no ebia wo hyase ede awo wo ho se de beyo na yade kodie wu anu no eyiniti ewo South Africa man no emu no wono mo etimi etuase ede afri won man no emu
Ebusua na yebegina amanone ensem so na yede kase ni nyina aba na wie ye na hye ne so se kase dia wote ye ebi ene hye Onimonyamfo Sami Jemfi ene wodi ababonten ni nhyemu nyina ene se NDC amanyokuo no ntwa wo mudi ye ewa fi atwa mu abato no emu no ejina mpanifo bia wo mom ewa amanyokuo no emu Saranso na Supreme Court ene wodi ababonten kire mu se NPP amanyokuo no wo mom ena ensan kofa akonwa no Saranso na NPP amanyokuo ene mampani na nadodan kwa kufuado womo eji womo eni papa eyie esanse abano etimi akọ ede ama womo na amanone ensemu no yadi to just say South Africa enkofo a COVID-19 womo anamso ewu eye 50,000 ene echire nyamiadom yade no ekọ efom enkakra ede ma womo ebusuya na ha ene brebe makwan na kase no yebu ni komu Shane so say Success Preparatory School womo ene bo ye chidom says womo ewo nsawom adenso kwantempono eso wo ben hospital ho ena wo behunu womo na Success womo so mo bia omopono no ede ama wo bibia se wonfa ne ba emfa mra se de be ya won betimi aboa no watete no ekwan pa ene nyamesuro emu Success ana womo ede musronkom mi ame ba be kanope mi ame je pene na me kan kase boy emma o midin ede nana akua a kire ba ye ma o monitie ni hwa enyaado